Has your dog ever brought you one of their toys? Think about it for a moment. Your dog walks up to you with a toy in their mouth. They pause, look up at you, eyes locked on yours. Then, as if making a small and careful presentation, they drop it at your feet or push it directly into your hand. And then they wait, tail wagging or perfectly still, just watching you and whatever you're about to do next. In most cases, you probably sum up this moment in one sentence. They want to play. And that's not wrong, but it is incomplete. Researchers have identified at least 5 distinct messages inside the behavior you're reading as a simple play request, and none of them are quite the same. This video explains what that toy is actually saying, and once you take the question seriously, the way you see your dog will shift. After this video, the next time your dog brings you something, you won't see it the same way again. While you subscribe to our channel, let's get into this. Dogs don't use words, but they never stop communicating. They speak through their body, their gaze, the tone of their sounds, and the way they carry objects. Toy bringing is one of the oldest and clearest expressions in that language, possibly the clearest of all. This behavior is far from the simple act it appears to be. What looks like a basic instinct is actually rooted in evolutionary history, processed through a cognitive system, and carrying a different meaning every single time. Together, we're going to break down each of those meanings in full, and look at what every message is actually telling you. The ancestors of every dog breed we know today are wolves. In those ancestors, the mouth served more than one purpose. It wasn't only for feeding. Wolves used it to carry prey back to the pack, to bring food to their young, to share resources with members of the group. This wasn't just a physical act. It was a social ritual that held the pack together, a language in which strength was offered to vulnerability, in which the hunter returned home carrying something, in which loyalty was expressed through the act of giving. Domestication didn't erase that instinct. It transformed it, adapting it to new environments and new relationships. Domestic dogs no longer hunt, but the drive to carry and to offer remains. The dog took that ancient behavior and rewired it for its new bond, the one with humans. So when your dog brings you something, what you're hearing is a distant echo of a gesture that wolves were making thousands of years ago on the way back to the den. Since they can no longer offer you prey, they offer you whatever they have, a household object, or better yet, something that belongs to them, their toy. The form has changed. The essence has not. Does this behavior say the same thing every time? No. And that's exactly what makes it easy to misread. At its core, there are 5 distinct reasons this behavior occurs. Each of those 5 reasons connects directly to how your dog sees you, how close they feel to you, and what they're experiencing emotionally in that moment. The first and most common meaning is a play invitation. Your dog extends the toy toward you, steps back, drops into the classic play bow in front of you. What they're telling you is straightforward. Let's do something together. If they're standing still and waiting, they're inviting. If they drop the toy at your feet and pull back, they're trying to draw you into the game. The second reason can be the expression of excitement in your dog. If the first thing your dog does when you walk through the door is race for a toy, that's often a release of built-up energy. The object in their mouth acts as a kind of brake mechanism, something to channel the overflow into. They want to greet you, but they're so full of excitement that they grab whatever they can find on the way to you, as if the toy helps them carry it. The third, and perhaps the most sincere, is an expression of trust and affection. Dogs place value on the objects they own. Bringing you the most beloved, most well-worn toy in their collection is sometimes the most concrete form of an attachment they have no other way to express. If they see you as someone they can entrust that object to, the meaning of that small gesture is enormous for them. The fourth reason is an attempt at comfort. Research on this topic consistently shows that dogs are acutely sensitive to subtle shifts in their owner's emotional state. If your dog approaches you with a toy when you seem quiet or sad, there's a good chance they're trying to lift your mood. They remember that the toy made you smile before, and in that moment, they're doing the best they can with the only tool they have. The fifth reason is learned attention seeking. Some dogs gradually figure out the following. When they come to you with an object, you pause, look at them, talk to them, maybe smile. That response becomes a form of communication for them. Even if it's outcome-oriented and reinforced over time, seeing it in action excites them. Each time you respond, you are, without realizing it, strengthening that behavior. So which of these 5 do you think is most present when your dog brings you a toy? There's a cognitive and scientific dimension to all of this, and this section might deliver results that are more surprising than you'd expect. In 2024, Claudia Fugazza and her team at Eötvös-Loránd University published a striking study in Current Biology. The researchers discovered that some dogs can mentally categorize toys not just by appearance, but by function. Dogs that distinguish between a tug toy and a fetch toy were able to correctly categorize entirely new objects they had never encountered before. What mattered to the dog wasn't the shape of the object, it was the action associated with it. This finding shows that dogs are capable of forming a mental object representation, which means toys aren't just physical things to them. They're concepts tied to a function, an experience, and very likely a meaning. And dogs are intelligent enough to grasp that. In 2026, the same team published a study in Science that pushed the boundary of what we know one step further. Dogs identified as gifted word learners were able to learn the names of toys without being directly taught, simply by overhearing their owner use the name in conversation with someone else. After just 8 minutes of passive listening, they were able to store the names of 2 new toys in memory. And when tested, 2 weeks later, they recalled those names with surprising accuracy. The gifted word learner ability is rare. Not every dog can do it, but it makes one thing clear. When your dog brings you a specific toy, what they mean by that object may run far deeper than the play request you assumed. Sometimes it's respect. Sometimes it's a request. Sometimes it's simply a way of asking for closeness. What do you do when you're anxious or overstimulated? You might count to 10, run through a breathing exercise, reach for something that calms you. Could it be that some dogs use a toy not just to share something with you, but to regulate themselves? Your homecoming, guests arriving, unexpected sounds, a sudden shift in the atmosphere of the house. These are just a few of the high arousal moments dogs regularly navigate. A dog that runs for their toy in those moments is often trying to balance the weight of what they're feeling. Having something familiar nearby makes an intense emotion manageable. Psychologically, it can be understood as a mechanism for redirecting anxiety onto an object in a way that causes no harm. A 2025 study published in Scientific Reports brought a darker side of this picture into view. In a study examining 105 dogs with high play motivation, 33 met the criteria for addiction-like behavior in response to sudden emotional stimuli. These behaviors most commonly appeared as persistent and repetitive attempts to reach a toy, indifference to alternative stimuli, and visible tension when the toy wasn't available. So both a lack of interest in toys and excessive motivation toward them are windows into a dog's inner world, and both are worth paying attention to. When your dog walks up to you with a toy in their mouth, what might they actually be saying? Sometimes they want to play. Sometimes they're carrying their own overflow of feeling by loading it onto an object. Sometimes they want to make you laugh with it. And sometimes they feel something toward you that they simply can't put into any other form. So they let the object speak for them. If you've been reading this motion the same way every time, you'll look a little more carefully from now on. The context changes. The message changes with it. And learning to read the context turns that small gesture into something far richer, a real exchange. In what moments does your dog come to you? And which toy do they bring? Asking yourself that question once might surface a pattern you didn't know was there. If there's a dog owner in your life who has never thought about this small gesture this way, you can put that question to them through this video too. We'll see you in the next one with a whole new angle on understanding your dog.